tonight's special meeting. Renee, if you would show all board members present except for Mr. Pavey and Mr. Hall. And if you would join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item is approval of tonight's agenda, and I'm not aware of any changes. So with that, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second? Thank you. Any questions or? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that's a 5-0 vote. Any public comments tonight, Dr. Mellon?
No, ma'am.
All right, with that, we'll move into key outcomes under action item F.
Well, thank you. Board, one of the things that we've been working on for about a year now is we've had data dashboards for our district. They're available, as you know. They're in our schools, and it's a way for us just to sort of make sure we're tracking the most important metrics in our district. But the one thing we sort of looked at is maybe our dashboards are a little too broad. You know, you have too much data and it's hard to keep your focus. So what we've done for the past year is we've been looking at what are the most important pieces of data that we think we need to be tracking. So this will be our new dashboard. And what you're seeing here is gives you a sense. It's not fully complete yet because in this salmon color, these are metrics that are annual. So for example, you can see at the top of the page, students passing English language arts and math on ISTEP. Those results, individual results, will come out June 30, so we don't have the actuals for 15-16 yet. But you can see where we performed in the past. You can see goals that we've set. You know, it's important that we're setting goals and moving to try to growth. Growth is vital and pivotal, so we're trying hard to set those goals and pursue those. Now, iRead came out. Last year, we had 93% of our students passing the iRead exam after the summer retests, and ironically enough, we had 93% again this year. So you can look at it two ways. When you're at 93%, that's a pretty strong indication of how well our students are reading and the efforts our teachers are putting forth, especially on that K through 3 level. So we're very proud of that. But we also want to continue to inch that up and, you know, trying to get to that 94, or what we had is 95. That was a goal that we were striving for. So we're not unhappy, but obviously we're looking to try to grow in that area. In the WIDA scores, board, this is the first time we've reported these, and you know, this is the test that students who come in and English is not their native language, this is the assessment that they have to take. And really what it is, it's a snapshot right now. We just started to look at growth of these kids. That's not reflected up here. This is a snapshot of all the kids who were tested. Where did they fall? At what level? When we looked at growth, and that's something I think we're going to add to this document, we had about a 3% improvement in language acquisition from one year to the next. So in other words, our kids grew in terms of their acquisition of the English language. So we probably will add a column here, but what this does see, if you can look at 48.3% who are in levels basically 1 to 4, those are kids that are coming to us that speak almost no English, almost no conversational English. Mm-hmm. If you're in the next level up, levels 4, you'll see 28.7%. Those are students who can have a grasp of conversational English. You wouldn't know, for the most part, talking to them, that they may struggle academically. It's those level 5 up to 6, 23% of our kids, when they were tested, that's where they were. Those are kids that should be academically proficient, have a strong enough knowledge of our English language to be successful in the academic environment. So you can see it's a challenge for our district as kids are coming in. We'll take everyone from everywhere, 35 different languages. spoken in our district. So we'll take them all, and we're proud to have them. But the challenge is also, where are they in terms of their English, their comfort with our language, not just conversationally to function, but also academically. So we want to make sure we stay on top of that and keep giving our community an idea of where we are. ACT, we don't have a report from an end of year yet, but PSAT, just when you start to think you have a grasp on something, they change it. So the PSAT used to be monitored at a different scale, and now they've gone to what ends up being a total 1,520-point scale. If you remember the SAT from years ago, it was 800 for English and 800 for math. Well, now it's 760 in the PSAT for English and 760 for math. Why they couldn't have rounded that up or down or whatever, I don't know. So this is the first time that they have we're tracking this. So the average score of our students out of 1,520 possible max points, the average for all of our kids, and keep in mind, all of our sophomores in our district take the PSAT, was 943. I have no way to measure that. This is a benchmark year, so we'll keep tracking that. Inside of the work keys, if you remember, I've reported on that to you before, something very proud of. All seniors take the work keys. It's through ACT, and it's an indicator of hard skills as it relates to reading, math, and what's called locating information. The ability to look at graphs and charts and to decipher what they're telling you. So of all of the students who took it, 77% earned a National Career Ready certificate. This is something that is given to students who get a certain score, 3 on each test or higher. And depending upon where they fall, you can see we had 1 platinum, which is sort of unheard of for a high school level student because this is really an adult-oriented test. And then you can see the golds. We had 93, we had 300 silvers, and 102 bronze. What we'll do for you in the future, board, is come back and show you what does that really mean relative to specific occupations. If you have a gold level, what kinds of occupations can those kids really be deemed to be successful at in terms of their hard skills? So we'll bring that back to you. You'll find it to be very interesting, but I'm very proud of that. Great job by our teachers and students there. AP exams, we don't have a current record of that. Technology. All of our 5th and 8th graders take it's called through Easy Tech, and they take an assessment. There's no other assessment that we can find to see where kids are with their technology skills. So those scores are not what we want them to be, but this is the first time that we've identified it as a measure that we're going to use for the future. So now we have to go back to our elementary and middle school staff and say, okay, we're going to measure this. How best are we going to make sure our kids are taught these skills? Because right now, I'll be honest, the skills are taught differently at different buildings. It's not anyone's fault at the buildings. It's a system issue. It's one that we have to do a better job of. And so we've been working on that, but that was a starting point in terms of that data. You can look at accountability outcomes. Graduation rate last year in 14-15 was 93%. We just went through our graduation. The information or data is still being finalized. The graduation rate, I'm going to assume, is going to be around 93% based upon the rough data that we've received, which we can be really proud of. Just 5 years ago, we were at 81%. That's right. So we've come a long way again. What a tribute to our staff. They've all been committed to this. Post-secondary acceptance. Looks like it's going to be 98% again. We only have about 13 graduates that were not accepted. We had 690 approximate graduates, and only 13 of them had not been accepted to a post-secondary opportunity. Now, that's 13 too many. We've got to address that, but I'm very proud of that. And our honors diplomas here are about 38%. I think we're going to go a little higher than what we're looking at the data. I think it's going to be closer to 40 when it's all said and done. Our core 40 diplomas are at 49%. That will go a little bit higher. With every year, we're getting more kids earning honors diplomas, and which is a key metric for our high schools. Work ethic, you can see where we fall with work ethic. This was the first year we offered work ethic at the 5th and 8th grade levels. We thought our goals were set. We just assumed that elementaries, we thought 50% and middle 40, and we knew high school, because of the year before, high school was at 24%. We thought 30 would be a reasonable goal. Well, this isn't easy for kids to get, and we don't want it to be easy. And so elementary students, we had 31% that earned it. One of the great stories that I can tell you is that the students were given, because of our business partnerships, they were given like a gift card the last day of school. So if you were a work ethic recipient, in addition to a certificate, you got this great gift card that allowed you to go to, I think 16 different businesses in our community and benefit in some way. Well, I don't know if this is good or bad in one way, but one of our parents, after the award ceremony, took their child out of school and ended up almost beating our person who was going to inform the businesses that, hey, they've been delivered and you can expect some business. Well, here's a student at the counter that's ready to get, take advantage of the certificate. So, that shows us that it has a value, and those honors or incentives were decided upon by the students. We asked the students what was important to them. And I think that's just a tremendous thing. So in all, 28% of our students earned work ethic. We had 30% of our seniors. We did hit goal there. Just extremely proud of that. We have over 50 businesses that are recognizing the work ethic certificate through guaranteed interviews, increased wages, all kinds of other incentives. So Ivy Tech is working on waiving a freshman level class. They're working through their curriculum program there. So anyway, it's been very positive. And then in the blue area are STAR and Ames Web, which is our reading assessments and where kids are with their reading proficiencies. And you can see where we started the year. BOY is beginning of year, middle of year, end of year. And the one thing we saw here that's concerning is that we had growth from the beginning of the year to the middle and not so much from the middle of the year to the end. And we're going to research this, but we think one of the issues is there was so much testing going on in the spring of the year that we weren't really able to intervene to the level or extent we were in the fall. That's our sense, and that's not acceptable. We're going to have to figure out how do we help our students and help our teachers in terms of being able to provide the level of intervention that's needed. So we're not at goal in some areas. Math, we're stronger than language arts. That's not a surprise. But, and it's just one indication, but it is a standard indication that's been in our district for several years. The CQAs are common quarterly assessments. In the 14-15, that data was really based upon what were called learning checks. They were tested over the same standards, but it wasn't the exact same test. The information you see from quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 in 15-16, kids were actually tested across our district on the same exact test across all buildings. So this is going to be some benchmark data. What we do with this data is this sort of gives us a sense of the level to which students are mastering the standards that we're teaching them. So if you see 67.2% for English language arts mastery, what that tells us is that 67% of our students, when they were given that assessment, mastered. That means they passed at 75% or higher. So it's a good starting point. We also need to make our tests better. We've got teams of teachers that are developing these tests. They're constantly reworking them. With every quarter that's gone on, I think our tests have gotten better. And it's just an indication of what kids are learning, and then what do we need to do to intervene to help kids learn those things they haven't learned. So, pride, you can see what we did there is each teacher must give every student a pride score at the end of every grading period, and it's of 0, 1, or 2. 2 meaning they're doing great, they're exceeding expectations. And so what we did is we started to do an average across the district of all students who earned their pride scores. And you can see at the elementary, the average ended up at 1.5. At the middle, it was slightly below that at 1.4, and at the high school, it was slightly above. So again, that's baseline data. It's an indication of if we want them to earn these work ethic certificates, we want them to be able to be exceptionally proficient with their pride skills, then we need to make sure that we're teaching these things on a daily basis. So this helps us in that way. But look at the number of kids with behavioral referrals. Look at the number. 8,007 behavioral referrals this year. Last year, 10,000, just over 10,000, 10,096. The year before that, 11,000. The year before that, 12,000. Now, our district, our staff, everyone, they're knocking it out of the park. You know, we're not lessening our expectations on kids. What we're doing is we're doing a better job of teaching kids these common expectations and positively reinforcing them. Our suspensions are down. Behaviorally, we're knocking it out of the park. Our people are just doing a tremendous job. Very, very proud of that.
Is that a duplicated count or an unduplicate?
Unduplicated. It's pretty impressive. All right, so in the finance area, that's where we get into these are all in our strategic plan, right? So you can see cash balances, general fund, rainy day, our annual TIF partnership funds. That doesn't reflect our most recent partnership that we've established with the city of Jeffersonville and their redevelopment commission. We're looking forward to some dollars coming in, but the town of Clarksville led the way, and those are the dollars that we're bringing in through the town of Clarksville, so that's very much appreciated. Our transportation fund balance, as you know, right now is struggling, but we've done some major work there to consolidate routes, and so we would anticipate that that number is going to change drastically as we move forward. Energy savings, look at the improvement there in the amount of energy savings. That's been a great program for years, long before I ever arrived. We're spending $422 per student on projects. The year before it was $403. So we're doing what we can to try to spend money to try to improve our facilities. That's the reflection there. Work order completion. Dr. Hare and our team of maintenance custodial staff have been tremendous. They've really worked hard to make sure that when they get work orders that they're getting after it and getting it done. And you can see that I think that positive change is reflected there. And then public relations, you know, our enrollment was down this year relative to the previous year. Our free reduced lunch population is about the same. Our special ed population is about the same. It was interesting that I would have thought that our number of students with English as a second language would have grown in percentage, but it didn't. Although the kids we did receive are in more need of services. So that's something moving forward. And then our ethnicity, we continue to become more diverse, which I think is a great thing. I'm proud of that. And then you can see the other, we did a satisfaction survey. Now the one thing we're a little concerned about is the total numbers returned of the survey. We do it electronically now as opposed to by hand. And ever since we've done that, we don't get as much of return. And so I'm a little concerned with that. But that's what it shows, is that the number of parents, 68% of our parents would give the school system an A or a B, and 71% of our staff. I'm not here to say that's where we want to be. That's what we have to work on. What is interesting is if you ask each parent and each staff member how they feel about their own school, those numbers drastically go up. So we have to learn from that. That's great that they love their schools. I can bring that data back to you, but it had to be broken down by each individual school. Look at what we're doing with our website presence. We just have a new app that we just created, so that data is not where it will be a year from now. Look at our Facebook followers. We're a social media leader, thanks to Aaron Bojorquez and Daniel Parrish. So I took a long time, but these are the metrics that we've worked on as a staff to say these are the things we want to track, and we need to be very intentional as we move down the road at how we're doing. We own all the data. The data is what it is. The key is now, what do we do about it? We celebrate things that we're happy with, and the things that we're concerned with, we have to go to work. Questions?
I have a question, Dr. Mellon. Specifically on staff satisfaction, do we know what area or areas are the top two as far as being the reason behind the reduction in satisfaction?
I've not been able to break it down. We just finished these surveys here, just got them late last week.
Okay.
So I will bring that back in. We need to figure that out.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of listening sessions. I feel that we're starting to get some really good, genuine input from people because they're asking questions through Mr. McLaughlin as the GCA president. So we get these questions that are really heartfelt. They don't have to ask them in front of other people with me present. And I think we're learning a great deal. Renee goes with me to these, and we note every single one. Renee does a great job of following up on concerns that she can address right away, and things that are longer term we're taking note of, and we are trying to do what we can to make changes. So at least we're out there listening, and we are trying to make a difference, and hopefully we'll get those numbers where we want them to be.
Will you let us know what you find, maybe the top three
Absolutely.
areas of decline?
Yep.
Thank you.
On the parent satisfaction, is that something that is done without the signature of the parent?
Right.
Okay.
They're able to go in electronically. And again, that's what, you know, we're becoming more of an electronic society. So they can go in electronically, and it's not, there's no fear. It's totally anonymous. So that's good. But we were hoping we'd get even more people engaged in the process. So we're going to have to look at how do we get those numbers up.
Did you ever think that everybody may not have a computer?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well, in
well,
fact, what's
then-
interesting is that percentage keeps getting greater. We do ask that in the survey, but yes, we know that's an issue. So how do we're going to have to look at other ways to honor, just like report cards. If parents want the report cards, they don't have access electronically, then we make sure they get hard copies. So we may have to start doing a little bit of both.
Hard copy.
Mhm. Good point.
When we have some open house or festivals, if we could get parents in doing on some of those activities, would be helpful.
Good idea.
Ask New Washington, they do that best.
Yes, they do. Okay.
Any other questions about key outcomes? All right, thank you, Dr. Mellon. With that, we'll move to our facility update. I think, Dr. Hare, you taking us through that?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Board. Just before we start, just kind of wanted to let you know, just a quick update on what we've been up to this summer. It's a short summer. We've only been at it for a couple of weeks. Some of these are CPF projects, some of them are the bond projects, and I'll try to be specific on each one. And Madam President, if it's okay, I may need to approach just for a little bit, okay? If I need to get up there and point a couple things out. So Renee, the first one is, actually, it's because I can't see this one. Bridgepoint, the main thing that we're doing there is the roof, and we'll have that RFP in about a month. So we'll have that up and rolling. At Jonathan Jennings, you approved the flooring contracts at the last board meeting, which I think was about 2 weeks ago. And we'll let you see what the hallway looks like. That's the work they've already done. Those are those tiles. I showed you those samples. That's the hallway. That is the cafeteria. So the carpet is out of the cafeteria and solid surface in the cafeteria. This is the hallway. If you'll remember at Jonathan Jennings, there are pods, and each pod has that. And what we found was when we took the flooring up, some of the old had mosaics in the middle of them.
Terrazzo?
With the terrazzo, yeah, with the terrazzo. And then if you'll notice up on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that long gray line. Each hallway is broken up with those long gray lines throughout to kind of make it all flow. So really kind of a cool, modern look to JJ there. The next slide is the entrance. We are painting the front entrance there at JJ. That used to be green. The next slide, Renee, you can see it used to be that green, and we're in the process of painting that all black, and then the flooring will go down. That's the floor is just being prepped. That's going into the front office. So a lot of work going on there. Parkwood, you know, we had a classrooms coming on board. Renee, will you go one more? This is, if I can, the blue is the existing pod at Parkwood. That's the ELL pod. And what we're going to do is there will be 4 classrooms in the blue that I need the pointer, but there are 4 classrooms there, and they can be divided into 8 classrooms. Sometimes the ELL, and I'm looking at Kim, but sometimes the ELL, they'll work in smaller groups. So those 4 classrooms, that pod is going to be reconfigured where there are 4 classrooms that can be divided into 8 smaller classrooms, and then there are 4 smaller offices on the left-hand side in a row. Coming off of that corridor in the green, that will be the new construction. That will be a 4th and 5th grade area, depending on how we want to use that. There are 4 classrooms there. They all have some natural light. There's water fountains there, interactive boards, LED lighting. It will be state-of-the-art. So that is the floor plan of the additional 4 classrooms at Parkwood. If you go back, this is what the outside elevation will look like, and that's going to give us plenty of room to, if we need to expand and add 4 more classrooms, we'll be able to come right out of that corridor and do that. One of the things that we're going to do there, in Clarksville, there are some issues with stormwater, so there will actually be a storm garden, and what they do is they will run piping deep into the earth, and as water goes there, we'll go in a garden where there will be a lot of plants and water the plants. It's no standing water, but it'll take care of all that storm water instead of dumping it into the drain. So we've got some work there. So excited to get started on that at Parkwood. Pleasant Ridge, again, the flooring, we've started there. That is the cafeteria, solid surface, no more carpet there at Pleasant Ridge. That is the classroom. We are starting to take the carpet out of the classrooms. Our custodians, laborers, those guys have done a great job. What we're doing is moving everything as close into the corners we can, pull up all the carpet, lay new carpet, then we'll move all the furniture over to the new carpet. We'll take that last little piece out. So we've got a lot of work that we've been doing there. Those guys have been doing a great job. That's the hallway at Pleasant Ridge, and that's the way it looked yesterday. If you will go there today, it will look a lot different. It's about finished. So they're making tremendous progress. They're working on the weekends and staying some long days to get that stuff finished there. That's Pleasant Ridge on the outside. This was some stuff that we did with some of the CPF money. That wall, that exterior wall, extended around the corner and really caused a safety issue. It was a safety issue, 2 aspects. One, it was a natural place for people to hide behind a wall and have access to the main front of the building. The other thing was the way it was sloped. It was ponding water during the winter, and it was pretty icy and difficult for our guys to get to. So we're in hopes of taking some of that wall down will help with some of that. So that's our crew has been doing that removal. Utica, we'll start that work with an RFP here in the next month, but we are going to use some CPF money and take the carpet out of their cafeteria as well. We had an opportunity to buy that solid surface in bulk, if you will, and when the installers were here on site, we were able to save some money with installation and with buying it in bulk. So we'll start on that probably on Friday. So we'll have a new cafeteria flooring there at Utica that will start. Charlestown High School, all of that work is set to start within the next month to 6 weeks. One of the things we've done with CPF, that is the press box at the football field. That has completely been remodeled. All of the exterior walls they've been replaced. They were dry rotting the floor. There was actually a spot that I'm pretty sure you could put your foot through it, and that's at the top. So we put a new flooring down, new exterior, new paint. That's the inside. That's a new desk where they can write, new flooring, new paint. We put some new lighting fixtures in there, so they're ready for football season right around the corner. So we're pretty happy with that. Jeffersonville High School, we're starting on the, we'll start to put the RFP out on the auditorium probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Mrs. Strait has worked with Cover Hawkins to pick out the colors that they're going to use in the new auditorium. So it's just a matter of going ahead and getting bids and quotes for that. We are using some CPF money to change the water in the pool joke, we're gonna do a little bit more, change the water for this tough crowd. We're actually sandblasting the pool. If you were in there and you noticed there were 2 black lines from the last time that they had done this, and both of the lines were there, and the pool just was not very becoming. So what we've done, we drained that the weekend of graduation. They're actually in there sandblasting. You can see they're sandblasting all of that. They'll put an epoxy back into the pool. They'll put the proper lanes back in. They're also going to paint the interior walls around the pool. They're going to put 2 large fans in the ceiling. We've replaced the exhaust system, which has been down for quite some time. And then we're going to remodel the restroom because our kids deserve a whole lot better than they have there. So long needed attention to the pool that we needed to do, and we're going to do that. Renee, there's one more picture there. And then if you were at graduation, you know, we got to use kind of the Thompson Lane. That's the panoramic view of Thompson Lane there. I thought that was kind of cool, maybe not. Maybe a little busy. But anyway, that's the old administration building in Thompson Lane. We were able to use that for graduation. The police were able to use the light, traffic light, and I think traffic flowed pretty well on 62. So we've got a little bit of work to finish up there. We've got to put a guardrail in and some things there, but just about have all that finished. They still have to stripe and those types of things. Court and Porter will still work on that roof, and then I didn't want to leave our friends out in New Washington. We've got the landscaping crew board that you've approved. They've been out working hard. This is on the side. Right before graduation, they did a great job making sure all 3 of our high schools look great for graduation. This is New Washington High School where they started the landscaping. One more day, this is the last one, and kind of finished the product there before graduation. Really proud of all the work that everybody's put into it. We've been pushing everybody pretty hard in the short summer. They've done a great job. So just board wanted to kind of update you a little bit on what we've been doing. So certainly we'll take any questions.
Love the new flooring.
It's pretty neat. It looks good. You don't have to put wax on it, so the maintenance is a lot easier for our folks too. So they appreciate it. I was talking to the custodians in both places today. Pretty excited. It would be really nice if you did. They've got different patterns. So good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Get back to my agenda here. Sorry. All right. Anything under policy review, Ms. Lewis?
Not tonight.
Nothing? Okay, thank you. And I believe, Dr. Mellon, you're going to take us through fund monitoring.
I will. I won't be able to do it with the same flair as Dr. Dykle, but I will do my best along those lines. As you can see, just focusing on fund balances, this is our general fund. Again, that estimated minus $2.4 million in our general fund at the end of the year. You know that we've been working at reducing costs in our general fund. We're not going to be able to realize all of the savings in the last 5 months of the school year, so we're concerned a little bit about that, but I'm proud of the efforts and the reductions that we've put in place. So that gives you a sense of the general fund. Debt service, really no major activity there, and you can see that we're pretty healthy. Thank you, Renee. Renee's pushing me along here. Yeah, keep going. Pension debt service, there's nothing much there either. Capital projects, which, Dr. Hare was able to help address some of that. The concern still is the tax caps and the impact, and so this is estimated, but, so in Dr. Dykel's pretty conservative as it relates to those tax cap estimates, making sure that, we're accounting for that. So the potential negative 70, almost 72,000. We're hoping that the tax caps won't impact us to that extent. Transportation operating, that's the area we talked about, a $221,000 deficit, but we've reduced costs by approximately $400,000 with our consolidation of routes, and I appreciate your efforts there, board. And so I think we're trying to protect against that impact of the tax caps as it relates to our transportation fund, and I'm pretty confident that we'll get that in the black where it needs to be. And then bus replacement fund, again, tax caps are the biggest worry there, so we're anticipating or estimating $257,000 in the red. I think at the end of the day, we're hoping that will come out not too much, it won't probably come out too much in the black, but we're hoping to get it into the black by the end of the year there. Rainy day fund, this is one of my concerns, is that the cash balance? Yeah. Usually we're around a $3.5 million, but my worry there, board, I know what's happening there, but what my concern is at the end of the year, if our general fund, we're going to end up being somewhere in the red there, and we're going to have to dip into the rainy day fund to get in the black by the end of the year, because the majority of our cuts that we've put in place, we won't experience the full effect of those until 2017. But that couldn't do it as well as Dr. Dykle, but I made an effort. Thank you.
He'll be glad to know he's missed.
Yeah, he's missed.
All right, Ms. Schellenberg, 5-star presentation.
Sure. Last year, actually last fall, we came to you and asked you to approve an agreement with 5-Star Technology Services to provide us support, especially as we were in our last year of our 3-year Chromebook project. They have been a tremendous asset to us, and we just kind of wanted to walk through the services that they did provide to us this year. The first, go on to the next slide, is the impact analysis. The impact analysis was a survey, classroom observations, and then meetings that were held with focus groups. Really 2 or 3 members from 5-Star did a survey, conducted 281 classroom observations for us, held 30 groups to get feedback, and then 535 of our teachers participated in the survey. And a lot of the purpose of the survey was to look at what are the goals we needed to have, what recommendations would they give us in terms of moving forward with technology, not only the Chromebook project, but ultimately the instructional use of technology in the district. The next 2 slides are going to show you, based on the ISTE standards, which are the International Standards for Technology, what their experience has been is that typically schools that are implementing a 1-to-1, by the end of the 3 years, they are just starting to get into the implementation area, which is about a 1.7 average. Our overall average for the whole district was a 1.974. So after 3 years, we were much further along than they said that they had seen of any implementation of a 1-to-1. So we were very pleased with where we were as a district. We know that 2 standards in particular are weak areas. Number 1, standard 2, the design and development of digital age learning experiences, are kind of working with focusing our efforts next year in how do we bring project-based learning and working with teachers to improve our use of technology in the classroom. Mm-hmm. On the next slide, the 4th standard, digital citizenship, was ultimately our lowest. And as you remember, a couple board meetings ago, 5-Star worked with us. That was the focus of our digital learning grant, and we were awarded the $75,000 from the state to focus specifically on this standard. So the data that we were able to gather and the input from this survey and these observations was tremendously helpful in us achieving that grant. Another thing that that 5-Star has helped us do is strategic planning. We have had a representative on site from 5-Star for 34 of our probably 38 meetings that we've had this year. We have a weekly meeting as a tech services department. What their guidance has allowed us to do is, number 1, look at other grants to kind of set up what should our priorities be, give us access to resources of other districts who have implemented, what does their infrastructure look like, how are they addressing these instructional technology needs. So just to have their that their focus is technology in the schools and having those resources has really helped us stay on focus and stay on task in terms of writing our plan and moving forward. They've also helped us provide some leadership through expanding how we are delivering professional development. Through the 4th quarter, our Director of Technology, Brett Clark, and then Keisha Seitz, who is our representative from 5-Star, they host a series of podcasts that are kind of focused on those 2 standards. Number 1, the standard 2 in terms of designing instructional lessons for technology, but then also where we want to go with digital citizenship. And there's a link in the you can find it on our website, but there's a link in the PowerPoint as well that will kind of guide you there. And they're like 14-minute, 15-minute, just great conversations that are held and kind of what-ifs to guide us. Probably the biggest project has been this professional development, and I know over the next couple board meetings, we'll probably be talking a lot about where we're going with professional development as we look at our teacher contracts and teacher licensing, those kinds of things. We know that with 700 certified teachers that we need to vary our delivery system for professional development. We need to have it as you need it, where a teacher can just go to a site and find it, but we also have to have on-site, we also have to have just different methods to deliver. They've worked with us to develop, through their 5-star network, our personalized professional development that's online. Not only do we have, at this point, I think this says 7 specific, but we're up to 11 specific programs right now that are just Greater Clark. We've included some modules for the business department in terms of some requirements, mandates of some training that we need to verify, but then also just creatively through different instructional technologies, here's how you do it. And so we have courses that are set up that are specific to Greater Clark, but then they also have access to all of the online and webinars that are available through 5-star. So this is a tremendous, there's probably close to 100 hours worth of professional development just available on this site alone between what 5-star has had archived and what we're adding. So this has been a tremendous tool for us, and it keeps getting better. So they've been working with us on that. They also were instrumental in helping us focus our digital learning grant. The focus of that grant, the $75,000, obviously is professional development, continued PD for teachers, to help us develop a scope and sequence. What are the skills? And I think Dr. Mullen mentioned with the technology assessments that we do at grade 5 and 8, what are the skills we would expect students to have at a certain point technologically, but then also teachers. I think that was the biggest takeaway from the surveys from the teachers, is tell us what it is we should know, and let us do a little bit of a better self-assessment of what we need as a result. So just being able to pay attention to what the teachers were asking, and working with us to help develop a scope and sequence. Our parent and community nights, we had a filtering, an open house for parents in the spring. It wasn't well attended. We know we need to do a better job advertising, but Brett did a really nice job of hosting at Charlestown and Jeffersonville High School an evening for parents to come in and just kind of talk to us about, you know, what their concerns were, asking questions of why we filter or why we don't filter, or how can they as parents do a better job. So the focus of next year, we will be doing a lot of outreach with parents, focused on how to keep kids safe with the internet. I can't say enough about our SROs, our school resource officers, and our local police. They work so well with our department in terms of really trying to prevent and be proactive. But then also, if something appears to us to be unsavory or a problem, they're so responsive, and it's all handled very, very professionally. So we need to continue to build that, and 5-star has really helped guide us. And then finally, just that developing our digital citizenship curriculum. The contract that we initially had was for 12 months. It was paid out of kind of leftover PD money from Title II, and then E-rate, our E-rate rebate. So none of this has been funded through our general fund or anything like that. And we'd like to go ahead and continue, and we'll be bringing a different agreement probably in the next month or so as we come to a close of their first, which would be a month-to-month and allowed to end at any time. So that's our...
Any questions? Thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
All right, we've got high school graduation data.
In board, my plan originally was to be able to provide you with a more comprehensive breakdown, but we're still collecting the data and really confirming all the data. It's very important. I can give you some highlights. You know, I think I mentioned already earlier, we had about, I think our graduation rate should be around that 93%. We 98% post-secondary acceptance, which is very strong, very solid. 75% of our students have been accepted to a 2- or 4-year school. We have 8% I think it's 5% to the military, and 17% directly into the workforce. 1%, I think it was about 8 students who have been accepted to apprenticeship programs. So that number doesn't sound big, but that's a good starting point because of all the skilled trades that we have in the area. So, we're moving in the right direction. So I think that was one of the main things I just wanted to point out to you is some of that data is looking very promising. As a former high school principal, these are the metrics that are essential to help us evaluate how effective we are in our high schools, are just really knocking it out of the park in so many ways. So I didn't want to present specifics to you tonight if I wasn't 100% confident, and we just have a little bit more work to do. So I'll come back next month and give you a more comprehensive report if you don't mind.
Any questions on high school data? Okay. If there are no objections, I would like to ask for a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 6 altogether, please.
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. Any questions or concerns? All right, motion to approve all items has been made and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that's unanimous. And at that point, we're going to take a pause and let Dr. Mellon introduce some new folks that we have just approved.
That we just hired.
Yes.
Thank you for being patient. Try to get to you. You're very important individuals and your families, and we appreciate that very much. At this time, Board, there are several people that we're just honored to have in our administrative family. And the first person I'd like to recognize is Jackie Diaz. Jackie, if you'd stand, please. Jackie has been the principal at Maple, and she's transitioning to Bridgepoint Elementary. So, congratulations. Board, Denise Elnor is going to become principal at Maple in Jackie's place. Denise was out of town this week, so unfortunately she wasn't able to be here, but Denise has been, was an interim principal at a time at Maple, and did a tremendous job, and also filled in at the end of the year in an interim capacity at Bridgepoint. So Denise is highly qualified and ready to go, and we're excited to have her at Maple. Another principal that is transitioning from the Charlestown Middle School assistant principalship is Brandon Weinbrenner. He is going to be the new principal at Parkwood Elementary. So congratulations, Brandon, if you'd please stand. Brandon spent several years in Arizona, and he had the good fortune of being able to work with a strong Hispanic population and several ELL students, so he brings that expertise to us, and so Parkwood is lucky to have him. New assistant principal at Charlestown Middle School will be Jeremy Shireman. Jeremy, we're glad to have you here. Breckenridge, Kentucky is where he has been most recently in a middle school assistant principal capacity. So he comes to us with experience at that level. We're very excited to have you join our family at Charlestown Middle School. And in the Dean AD role, a gentleman who did some work as an interim in that capacity this past year at Charlestown Middle School is Brian Stewart. Brian, congratulations. Brian has also been a longtime teacher, math teacher, and department chair at Charlestown High School. So he brings a lot of experience to the table and has done a great job. And we're, Karen Wesley is here as the principal, and she has a big smile on her face because, two very strong individuals have left her. It just shows the kind of mentoring that she's been able to do, and I think she's very pleased with who's filling the roles in at Charlestown Middle School. So, and then also Josh Emily at New Washington Middle High will be the new Dean Athletic Director. Josh has been a long-time teacher at Utica Elementary, 5th grade, excellent teacher. He has a lot of energy, passion. He's been the elementary coordinator of athletics. Now, when you think about that, in other districts I've been in, I'm sorry, but that really wasn't necessarily the biggest deal. But in Greater Clark, being the coordinator of elementary athletics, I'm telling you, it's a big deal. And so he has a good, strong athletic background. He's been a coach, and I think that he's going to bring some really good, fresh ideas to New Washington Middle High. So, Josh, welcome to the New Wash Middle High family. And I think I have introduced all of them. Yeah, and you know what? The one thing I probably want, some of you have family members here, so if you don't mind, I know you're here to support your spouses, but if family members of our individuals, if you're here, if you wouldn't mind standing, because we better clap for you now, because there's a lot of time. Thank you, families, for sacrificing a lot of time and energy. That's what it takes to be in these positions, and we're all very lucky to have strong families, and without strong families, it'd be very difficult to do these jobs well. So thank you, families, for being here tonight and supporting our new administrators. And thank you, board, for giving me that opportunity to introduce them.
Get her baby.
Okay, Jackie. Yeah, speaking of family.
All right, thank you so much, and welcome, and congratulations. And we have a high expectation for all of you, so we'll be looking forward to great things. All right, gifts to buildings. Mrs. Kraft, would you do us the honor, please?
Yes, my pleasure. I would like to take this opportunity to say not only is our district's graduation rate 93%, we had more Courier Journal Athletes of the Year than any other Southern Indiana school district. We have a high school band that will be touring Europe next week, and we have a high school theater department that will be traveling to Scotland to compete in the International Thespian Competition. So, if you live in this community, you have a great deal to be proud of. As I am reading Gifts to Buildings, it is obvious that we have a great community, and the support is wonderful. It looks as though we have $33,511.65 that was donated just this month. So congratulations to the community and to the school corporation. We're on a roll. And I would like to make that motion that we accept that.
Thank you, and is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Zolman, thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments? All right, with that, we will take a vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. And with that, we'll move into action items, and we have policy 5771, which is a second reading, so that will require our approval.
Thank you and good evening. On May 17th, we brought to you this search and seizure policy for revision, and we're bringing it this evening for your consideration of approval based on the superintendent's recommendation that it be approved. The only change that we made, and I think you might remember it, was that this was one of the Neola policies, and in the policy there was a statement that if we did a search and seizure on a student, that we had another student witness present. That's not something we do or that we would encourage, so we have removed that from the policy, but we have added in language that shows that anytime we do a student search, we have at least 2 adults who are present when this search is conducted. So we're just asking you to make that revision to this policy at this time.
All right. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. White. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand, please. And that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a resolution for grant DWD number 016258.
This is a grant that we are receiving from the Department of Workforce Development, DWD, and that entity is partnering with Greater Clark to provide funding for student employment and training services. Basically, what it's providing is the funds to support
a full-time work ethic certification coordinator, including salary and benefits. And I believe that's Mr. Denny, Michael Denny. And it will be to fund his position for 1 year, which is great. The coordinator's responsible for a lot of planning and partnering with the workforce development to establish relationships and assist in implementation, technical assistance, and evaluation of the regional work ethic certification program. So it goes along with our PRIDE program and our work ethic certification. The timing of receiving notice about the grant, and it's for $100,000, up to $100,000, and the timing kind of fell between board meetings, but we did have to get it turned around pretty quickly. I spoke with the State Board of Accounts and asked certainly if the superintendent could go ahead and execute those documents on behalf of the board and then come to you for permissions. They said if we follow up with a resolution. So we have the resolution this evening that is authorizing Dr. Mellon to handle executing all of the grant-related documents necessary for the implementation of this grant, and also accepting the grant in and of itself.
Board, if I could also just add to this, that part of the responsibility with the grant is that the PRIDE program would be something that could be implemented in other communities around the state of Indiana. So we're honored by that fact, and we've had a number of communities that have already reached out to us and we've already made contact with. And what we do is we go up and speak to the communities about the benefits of the program, and then Michael Denny would follow up with technical assistance related to any needs. We're developing an implementation guide that will be developed. We have all the documents, but we just need to put it together. So it's pretty neat that the state of Indiana is recognizing our PRIDE program and feels like it could be a model that could be implemented in other communities. And our staff is to be commended because that PRIDE program, there's tremendous ownership in it around our district, and it's a lot of great results as I've mentioned. So it's great that the state is also acknowledging that.
Is there a motion to approve?
I always like free money. Thank you. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Ullman. Any questions or concerns, comments? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have some consulting services with Judy Wortham.
Good evening, Board. This is a renewal of an agreement with Ms. Judy Wortham. Ms. Wortham was a school psychologist and the coordinator of the Highly Abled program prior to her retirement, and she has agreed and has, in the past, assisted us in the area of her expertise with the programming, specifically in administering and assisting in the coordinator with individual and group testing, administering whole grade acceleration testing protocol, providing academic support counseling for highly abled students, and providing parent training and informational sessions for those students. Compensation for her services will be paid at the rate of $45 per hour for no more than 440 hours during the period of July 1st, 2016 through June 30th of 17, and this will be funded through the State High Ability Grant.
Thank you, Dr. Hartledge. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Ullman. Is there a second? Ms. Perkins, I'm sorry. TZ, TP.
Second.
Get confused. Thank you, Mr. White. Any comments or concerns, questions? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that's unanimous. And we have a request to transfer funds. To the
Yes,
rainy day.
Board. We just recently closed on the sale of our 25 acres that we had just off of Charlestown Pike and north of Utica-Sellersburg. The sale price was $540,000. We closed yesterday. And Board, what we'd like to do is ask for your permission to transfer those dollars into our rainy day fund. And the reason why that's important is because if it stays in our capital projects fund, then the state looks at that it's money that's existing in there, and what could happen is they could end up lowering our ability to generate funds in capital projects. So this is a way to protect those dollars. Any utilization of those dollars would be authorized through you. So, and I also need to ask you permission to deposit into the rainy day fund. So that is what I'm doing this evening.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. Questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Thank you. No problem accepting and depositing money, Dr. Mullen.
No, that's, well, we're going to keep it coming. This isn't quite as big, but still very important. Wilson Elementary has been awarded a $1,000 grant for next school year from the Action for Healthy Kids program. It provides funding to continue universal and alternative breakfast programs, and schools are to focus on continued marketing and nutrition promotion to increase breakfast participation. And you've had some presentations here, Board, so I'm asking you to accept this grant.
Is there a motion? Thank you, Ms. Zolman. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Any questions, comments? All in favor? All right, 5-0. Thank you. Consulting services?
Yes, it's our return to speech, but the good news, these are two people that we consulted with last year, and they did contract work for us. It's Sherry Ketcher and also Laura Shalizi, and I'm asking you to approve their contract for contracted services in speech, 7 hours per day for the school year.
Could we entertain a motion, please, to accept 6 and 7?
So move.
Thank you, Mr. White. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All right, that's 5-0. We're on a roll here, guys. And next we have withdrawal from our co-op.
Yeah, a little bittersweet here because I spent a lot of my career working for the co-op and developing the co-op. But I also have, for my staff would say, for the last 15 or 20 years, been talking about how the fact that the best services that we can provide for kids are best when they're provided by their local district. And so this is kind of a long-term process that we've been working on to really take the co-op apart and allow each of the school districts to run their own program for kids with special needs. To that end, for the last couple of years, we've been working on this. Wes Clark has actually hired their own supervisor who will become their director. They've been hiring their own school psychologist. I've been working with their supervisor so that he can take on that role. Also working with Clarksville, offering to them, to both districts actually, to still provide some contract services, but not being the fiscal agent any longer, nor provide the direct supervision to those districts. We are in a really good place for doing this. West Clark definitely is large enough to hold their own, and Clarksville certainly, with some work, will be able to come up with the services they need and then work either with us or another entity in order to provide the services they need for kids with disabilities. But I think the time is right. I'm very excited about doing this. I kind of feel like, we've had a great run. We've done a lot of things with kids, but now it's time to take more ownership of the local district. So with that in mind, I'm asking your permission to give notice to West Clark and Clarksville that we would like to withdraw from the co-op effective July 1, 2017.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Zolman. Any questions or comments?
Board, the only thing I would just add is that I really have appreciated Mrs. Schneff's leadership here. She's widely respected, and in talking to my superintendent colleagues in the co-op, we're all understanding of this is the time to do it, and we, as the largest school system, will be more than happy to continue to provide services as needed, which was mentioned by Mrs. Schneff, and I think that's really important because we still value those relationships and want to make sure they're successful.
And we're giving a year of transitional notice as well. It's not like it's 2 weeks from now. Okay.
Our agreement is that by September 1st, we give notice, but we'd like to do that as soon as possible.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you, that's 5-0.
Thank you.
Out front media?
Board, we are bringing forward a contract for a billboard. It's in a great location on the east side of I-65 and near Highway 131. It's in a great location, great exposure. I think they're estimating that there'll be 356,000 views per week with that location. We've done this kind of thing before. These are funds that come out of a marketing fund. They don't come out of a general fund. And it's a very competitive world that we're living in right now. Whether we like that or we don't, it's the reality. So it would be for 3 months, a 12-week period, $8,850. There's $848 of production costs. Ms. Lewis has reviewed the contract, and so it'd be my recommendation to approve the contract with Outfront Media.
All right.
I would like to make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs.
I
Kraft.
love the location of the sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions or comments? I would just say that I agree. We are living in a very competitive world. I walked into Green Tree Mall today, the main entrance, and the very first thing I saw was a lighted billboard. Now, granted, this is in Clarksville, and it was a competitive saying, yay, bring your children to us, from another local school system, not us, in Clarksville's mall. So yes, it's a competitive world, and I mean, we have set aside money to do this. Our NGL program is going to be available nowhere else in Indiana, so I think it's a great opportunity to advertise that relationship and that partnership moving forward.
And Board, I've said this before, we receive approximately $5,800 per each new student. So if that billboard brings in 2 new students, it's paid for itself. So, and if you can see up here, this is a mock-up of what the billboard would look like. So it does say, your choice can determine her future, and for next generation learning at Greater Clark County Schools, and Be Greater is the hashtag. And this is Aaron Bojorquez's work, and I think it looks great, and just wanted to give you a little preview.
Thank you. All right, any other comments, questions? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, that's 5-0. Thank you. And we've got some book and rental fees to approve.
Every year we come to you with adjustments for our textbook rental. There are no changes for elementary. We've been able to leave that. We made significant decreases last year. We've been able to hold that for our elementary. This year we went through secondary math adoption, and our middle schools, the adopted program is resulting in a decrease across the board. From the high schools, some of them are decreasing, some of them are increasing, but just nominally. We have been using some old programs within, and as you know, with our Chromebook situation within the secondary, we go to digital textbooks with just reserved backup, hardback in the classroom, like a classroom set. So that's how we've been balancing. The only other change was in the multi-category. Those are our severest special needs students. They don't have a textbook rental, they have a course fee of $10, and our teachers have asked that we increase that to $15, just the cost of supplies. So those are the only changes.
Motion to approve.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. White. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions?
Hand signals are. I should have said, should be in between you. Would be a little easier.
Questions, concerns, comments? All right, all in favor? All right, 5-0, thank you. We've got some e-learning conference speakers.
Thank you. We only brought them once before, not every month, but we did have to add 2 additional speakers. So we're asking for Sherry Gick and John Spencer for contracts that are similar to the standard contracts that we have approved for the other speakers for our e-learning conference.
All right, is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Tholman. Question, concerns, comments? What is the date of the conference again?
July 25th.
25th, thank you.
How many speakers will we have?
How many speakers? Oh my gosh, I think at last we were well over 140 sessions. So between our own presenters within our local, and then I think we have about 12 that are external that we're bringing in. So
Awesome.
And this is state line.
Now, this is not costing our teachers anything, right?
No, this was a grant, this is funded.
No, I
through-
mean, to
Oh,
go to the
attend?
conference.
No, it's part of their contract.
So, and I saw an email today about there was a $25 fee, but is that for
Externals.
externals?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And I think it's the largest, most attended e-learning regional conference in the state. At least it was last year. I think we'll have over maybe 1,000 people there. I mean, our people do a great job. So very proud of what they do and what they're presenting.
Any further comments or questions? All right, all in favor? All right, 5-0, thank you. And last, we have a contract to ratify.
That's correct. Last but not least, we're very excited that we have managed to reach another tentative agreement with another one of our collective bargaining groups. This is the maintenance, custodial, laborers, garage mechanics, helpers, pony drivers, and their bargaining agent for them is the International Chemical Workers Union Local 15C. And we really, like I said before, we enjoy working with these non-cert groups. They've been diligent in their efforts. We added a perfect attendance bonus into their contract this time. There were some exceptions like jury duty, military duty, or business that they were asked to participate in, like a conference or a workshop on behalf of the school corporation, that didn't count against them. But basically anything else would exclude them from perfect attendance. They really believe that they've got the potential to reach that perfect attendance and get the bonus, so they're excited about that. We had the team that we worked with on behalf of the union, Misty Woods, Mark Ryder, Daniel Rimmer, and Bill Crank. They met last night with their group and reached their tentative agreement. So we are asking you this evening the superintendent is recommending the approval of the master contract for this group.
All right, is there a motion?
So move.
It has never happened at this level before tonight. It's been funny.
Ms. Perkins, thank you. Is there a second?
So move.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. White. Questions, comments? All right. Thank you for your work again, and as always,
Travis
everybody.
was very instrumental
And Travis.
also. We and Dr. Mellon, we're a good team, and they were a great bunch to work with, so we're really excited to come here this evening with this recommendation.
All right, all in favor? It's 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, no discussion items tonight. Mr. White, do you have a report or a request?
No, I do not.
Ms. Perkins? Ms. Zolman? Mrs. Kraft? All right, I do not either. Any public comments on non-agenda?
No,
All right.
ma'am.
We are at board comments. Mr. White?
Well, congratulations to all of the people that have either come to work for us or risen into new positions. That we really appreciate you doing that, for stepping forward and doing that. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank all your families that came with you, because family support is critical in a lot of positions you all are in. So thank you.
Ms. Zolman? Ms. Perkins?
I'm
I'm just trying to skip over you tonight. I'm sorry. I know. Ms. Perkins?
Just like we've done all night, ditto. Those of you that are changing your position or your allegiance to us, thank you very much for staying with us and providing that leadership. And to you, young man, you've done the right thing. You've come to the right school district.
Well, I'll say ditto too, but many of you have no idea what ditto means. But I'll use it anyway. And I also want to congratulate all of us for going to the graduation. That was awesome, and I appreciate all of us going and enjoying it. And Travis, you can get glasses.
Yeah.
Glasses. Yes. Or you can use mine.
Sorry.
You'd be just as handsome, it'd be all right. You'd be just as handsome, it'd be all right.
Do you need hearing aids too?
Oh, goodness.
Mrs. Kraft?
I'm supposed to talk after that? Okay. Anyway, we're happy to have you all and happy that you have agreed to switch places. And I'm particularly happy with my new principal of Parkwood. And I would be partial. And to the gentleman who's working on this side of the river, you don't have to do the bridge if you move over here, if you live over here. All right. That should be a great big plus for you. For sure. Yes. Well, congratulations. We're glad to have you here. And Mr. Stewart, I've known you since you were tiny. Yes, I have.
All right, I just have two quick things I want to say. Graduations were awesome. To me, that's like the ultimate reward for us is to see our finished product. And those kids looked so good. The speeches were great. The ceremonies were great. The gyms were nice and cool. So they were just all a success. And what a unique opportunity we have to be such a diverse district. You know, we have our rural school, we have our suburban school, we have our urban school. I mean, I don't know if there's another district, maybe other than Fort Wayne, that is unique like us. So that's an awesome opportunity. But it was a privilege to be able to attend all of those. And the last thing I want to say, and this is kind of late, but I forgot, as your all's ISBA representative, to announce that our board has again been given Master Board recognition from the Indiana School Boards Association. So congratulations to us. And for those of you who don't know what that means, we, as a board, each of our members has to attain so many professional development points, which means all of us are trying to get better in our role as well. And so we've attained that again, and that's something we strive to do. That's one of our board goals. So I wanted to make sure everyone knew that we had reached our goal this year again. So with that, Dr. Mellon, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, just really quickly, I know everyone talked about commencements. One of the greatest honors I have is to be able to shake the hand of every graduate. This is my third district in which I've been a superintendent, and I've never had that honor. And for me to be able to sit up there and shake the hands of 700 students going through commencement, I'm just telling you, it's one of the greatest honors that I have, and I'm proud. I'm just proud of our kids and our staff and their accomplishments. So.
And you got to shake the hand and actually give a hug to one very, very important student.
Yeah, I just happened to have one graduate. People wondered, what in the world is he doing hugging that kid, if they didn't listen to the name. But yeah, my son graduates. That was pretty special. So I also want to thank the Jeffersonville City Council, as well as the Redevelopment Commission, the Mayor's Office. Last night, the City Council approved the rezoning of the Clark County Auto Auction property that we have been gifted by the Fedders, so thank them as well. And I know we'll be doing more in the future, but that happened last night with the zoning. And then also Thompson Lane, which was a project that the city engaged in. It's taken a few years to get it completed, but boy, it's going to make a difference for the safety of our students and adults, community coming in and out of high school onto 10th Street. So there's still some finishing touches that need to be done there, but I want to thank everyone who's been involved in that. That's been tremendous. And then Ms. Gilkey, tremendous job filling in as president. It's been a while since you've done that, and you were smooth as silk, so good job.
Except for calling Teresa Miss Zolman twice. So, thank you, though. I appreciate that. All right. With that, I need a motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, Ms. Zolman. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. And with that, we will take a vote, and we are adjourned. Thank you.